In the main square, there are empty streets, deserted homes, and shuttered businesses. More than 100,000 people living in the region have fled to neighboring Armenia. Only a small fraction have remained. That is despite Azerbaijan's assurances that they will be integrated as equal citizens. Al Jazeera's Osama bin Javed has this exclusive report from Khankendi.
You've been seeing pictures from Khankendi in the last few days. Tens of thousands of people who had lined up the square with all that was they could carry with them. People who were in their cars were queuing up to leave outside and leave the city, but people who were here were waiting for buses, for their relatives, for others to come and take them with them, as they did not believe the assurances that were given by the Azerbaijani government not be prosecuted. Here in the town center, if I go quiet, you'd be able to hear nothing. There is absolutely no one who's left here, apart from a few elderly, disabled and others. We did see some Red Cross workers who were here earlier, who were taking people, ferrying them away and taking them to a staging point from where they're going to take them into Armenia. That's what people want. Here, let me just show you. Here are some puppies who've been following us around, possibly looking for food. This is a hard to describe feeling on when you enter a town where you've been looking at pictures of it, where there was so much activity, but now a ghost town which seems to have no soul left. As we've been driving through this town, we've looked at open shutters, we've looked at cars where doors are open. So it does feel like this was an exodus. It feels like where people thought that they have to leave as quick as they can. Although we were hearing when we were outside of Khankendi from Azerbaijani officials that they're free to stay, they have nothing to fear. But you have to understand the history of the last 3 decades as well, because there's been so much hatred, so much violence, there's been so much that has gone on between these two sides that it was difficult for people to imagine what peace between the two sides would look like. 30 years ago, when Armenian forces came in, they renamed all of these areas with Armenian names. This used to be known as Khankendi. Other places like Khojale and Kalbajar were also named with Azerbaijani names, but they were changed once Armenian forces took control of these areas and a self-declared state came into place. But now Azerbaijanis have come into administrative control. We've also been seeing ambulances to make sure that there is some sort of relief for people. We met the ICRC, we asked them, and they said that it is going to help them to ensure that the people who are left behind have some essential services available. The electricity, as you can see, the lights are still running. The water is still running, although aid workers tell us that they can't be sure of who the people who used to run the water supply are no longer here. And behind us is now the vehicle is left is where the Russian peacekeepers were stationed, because this was a staging point where people were gathering and leaving. But this is what a city without people looks like. It is scenes that we have never seen before, where such a huge mass of population got up and left, leaving all that they could leave behind with them and just taking their memories and all they could pack on their cars with them.
Osama bin Javed reporting there from the Karabakh region, where a UN mission arrived on Sunday. It's the first time the UN reaches the region in 3 decades. The team will assess the humanitarian need in an area that has been almost entirely emptied of its population.